Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing well this morning. You see in the title something like this from my memory, your body, your relationship with you, your mind, and your identity. I want to talk about that. One of the things that was very noticeable for me as I began to step into new levels of healing was some of the impact that I experienced from unhealthy, toxic relationships, and not just in the dynamics of intimate relationships, but definitely intimate relationships, but just unhealthy connections, and just noticing, what had transpired that I almost didn't even know was going on. And, a couple of those things, hey there, good morning, say hey in the comments. A couple of those things was like my self care and my body. So there are so many things that happen even after we've, maybe divorced, we've been in a toxic or unhealthy relationship that we may not always notice. Lowered self esteem is one of them. Um, Confusion is another one. Those were some things that I realized had transpired from, just my connection. So there's normally some residue, whether we know it or not. But studies show that things like a change in appetite even can possibly occur. Intense cravings. Guys, listen, it's so much connected to our relationships, and I feel so compelled and so called to talk about it and talk about the impacts of it and how it is impacting how we walk out our life now, like the effects, the things that we're manifesting in our life now. But anyway, studies also show anger um, after unhealthy relationships, lowered immune system, lowered immune system. So some of you who are coming on, maybe you've gone through a divorce or you've been in some unhealthy relationships, you may have noticed some of those things, or maybe as I'm speaking about it now, you're able to recognize that some of the things that you may be dealing with as it relates to body issues and things like that could very well be tied to unhealthy, toxic relationships that you may have had, whether it's from the friend range, a boss in corporate America, um, intimate relationships, partners, spouses, things of that nature. But there are so many things that impact us. And I know that this time of the year, there is a vibration about, losing weight, reaching some of our health goals, eating differently, things of that nature. And some years ago, when I did a little research about people setting goals and why they fall away from their goals, they said the majority of people fell away from their goals by the second week in March. That number has moved, right? So newer studies are showing that sometimes by the second or third week in January, people have fallen off from some of those New Year goals and New Year resolutions. And I want to talk about what I understand to be true about why that's probably happening. So if you have a desire to lose weight, or you have some, things about your body that you want to change, or you want to be healthier, or step into new levels of self-care, but it's like this thing. It's like no matter what you do, you just can't seem to stay in a flow of making that happen, then this broadcast here is for you. Because I believe, and I used to say this all the time when I came on my live broadcast, your mind, this thing right here, has a lot to do with your money and everything else that you set out to do. So when we think about, the impacts of, unhealthy or toxic relationships, or just influences that we've had in our life, it begins to form our identity. Somebody please put that in the comments. It begins to form our identity. And personally, I started watching myself before I was in unhealthy, toxic relationships, and then who I was when I was in those relationships. And for as much as I thought my self esteem was really high, it was really confident. So I was confident in my skills. I, ran a brick and mortar business. I had 12 staff members, did really well, transitioned to, coaching and consulting, what I'm doing now, spoken in front of thousands of people at a time. So I was doing things, but I was doing it from the space of my confidence. But I do realize that my self-esteem was being lowered and impacted because of some of my connections, which is one of the reasons why, although I knew years ago that I was setting out on a new trajectory for what I was allowing into my life as far as my intimate relationships, I even went down the friends list, right? Like, I knew my connections had to be healthy if I wanted to embrace this new change. But what was transpiring, why things were so different, was because of my identity. And what I call it is an identity crisis. And I wasn't able to even get in the flow of doing things that really mattered to me in my life, like my credit, my finances, my health, my relationship with my daughter. That was kind of always kind of at the front, but even improving it, the things that I really wanted more of or to do more of, there was like this inconsistency about it. It was like hit or miss. Anybody else, ever experienced that? Um, and I realized that I needed a new identity, because what you're doing in your life and what you desire to do is going to be based on how you see yourself. Let me read you guys the definition I found from Wikipedia about identity, which is huge, right? So it says the relation established by psychological identification. The relation established by psychological identification. Now, when we hear psychological, immediately we think the mind. So many of you are setting out to do things that are hit and miss, that you are procrastinating on, that you're not seeing that next level of, because of this thing right here, this thing that I'm talking to you guys about all the time, because you formed a picture in your mind of who you are. So let's think about identity from this space. If we think about identity based on how we see ourselves, when you begin to see yourself differently, something will shift on the inside of you. Now, I talk to you all the time about kingdom principles and laws that are operating on this earth all the time. And most of us are just doing the natural things. And those things most of the time aren't working to the level that we desire. So I always encourage my clients to step into the God realm. Now, in today's times, and you guys may have seen one of my recent videos, how I talked about we're living on this 3D reality now. And then when we look at scripture, it talks about the heavenlies. So some of the world will consider that the fourth dimension, right? We're on the 3D now, third dimension. That would be the fourth dimension. So as it relates to your thinking, we have a subconscious mind and a conscious mind, and the world is calling that next level your superconscious. I call it the God realm, the place where inspiration, downloads, all of those things are given to us, and things happen with more grace, ease, and flow. So one of the best things that I ever did was get new revelations about what it was that I was trying to do. And the first thing was the revelation of who I was, right? Who I was showing up as, but who God really said that I was. So your identity is who you are, right? Your identity is the way you think about yourself, right? Your identity is the way the world sees you and the characteristics that define you. So when I think about character, I always think about character as who you are when no one else is looking. Your character is what you're doing and who you are when no one else is looking. So if we think about it as it relates to our mind, that may mean we make all of these goals and dreams and visions and things, and we say them, right? But in our mind, we're saying something completely different. And a lot of it is attached to our identity. So even the struggle you may have with weight, or different things that you may want to be different in your body, your skin, um, your energy, your self-care, a lot of it is going to change when you take on a new identity, when you're able to identify yourself differently. So this is one of the things that happens when we tell ourselves that we're going to do something and we don't, and this continued practice happens of saying I'm going to do this and then it never happens. We begin to lose trust in ourselves. Lord have mercy. You don't even trust yourself that you're going to do it because so many times you said you were and then you don't. This is why people don't step into new opportunities that are better or greater or more expansive for them, because somewhere down the line they've lost trust in their self. Now, I've been talking to you all about these 4 stages of spiritual growth that I coined: the standard sis stage, the self-aware sis stage, and then the manifesting, I call it the manifesting princess stage. But in that standard sis stage, one of the things that happens is you are aware of what's transpiring, but you just don't know how to do it differently. You normally go into isolation in this stage. You are in that hustle hard realm, that chase the bag instead of attract the bag stage. And there's normally a lot of lack of trust. Hey, Hope, darling, how are you? There's normally a huge level of a lack of trust. And some of that lack of trust is within yourself. And so when you have like body issues that you're uncomfortable with, that you want to work on, you want to go to the gym, lose weight, all of the things, if you have created this identity where you no longer trust yourself, there has to be a new, you have to take on a new identity. So, some of the things that help me, and all of this is healing on another level, because oftentimes we are trying to do it from an external place, and what the issue is really an issue within our soul, which is our mind, our will, and our emotions, our thinking, right? And your relationship with yourself is going to impact whether or not you do the things that you're saying that you desire to do, how you see yourself, whether you trust yourself. You have to recreate new beliefs and new thoughts, actually a new identity, right? You got to take off the old man and create a new identity about who you are. So for me, um, when I realized that I was just kind of half doing my self care, and I started seeking new truths, right, about who I am. And because I began healing in my mind first, working out, eating healthy, those were things that I did in my life, but I noticed a significant difference after being connected to unhealthy or toxic relationships. I share with you all that some of the residue is sometimes lowered self-esteem. If your self-esteem is lowered, there's no revelation to really do what's necessary for your next. Like, you know that you need to do it, but how to do it, how to step into that new realm, it just doesn't exist, right? And so I stepped into new truths. I established new thoughts. So many of you have this dormant consciousness about who you really are. Somebody tap the screen if this is making sense. Many of you have a consciousness that's dormant. I call that the God conscious, the God realm, right? That's that fourth dimension where we are accessing heavenly things that are outside of this earth that help us to create this new identity in ourselves so that we can do the things like losing weight and, and all the things. But that dormant consciousness is hidden by false identity. It's hidden by false identity. And it requires inner work and healing. It requires inner work and healing. For those of you who are in the She Prospers Mastermind or who are still considering joining, I know that we're doing manifesting and we're working on our mindset, but a huge benefit, a huge bonus to it all is the inner work and healing that transpires because we've changed our thoughts. So this week, for those of you who are still considering joining us, this week we're working on how to be in flow, how to maintain the energy that you need for whatever it is that you manifest. And I'm opening the class up with bringing on a new self image and a new identity so that what is going on the inside will now begin to express itself on the outside. That's what manifesting is. And whether it's money, new relationships, new health, um, when you shift your mind, that's when the things on the outside actually change. And the advantage for those of you who are kingdom and are wanting to really rest in that God realm, we know that's the realm where things start happening with grace, ease, and flow. It's a space of trust, right? Which is what most people, when they are aware of what the issue is, but they don't know what to do, they usually don't have a huge sense of trust. It could be from experiences in their past relationships, or even parental situations that they may have been in. They did not establish an identity of trust. So that's what we're going to be doing this week in the She Prospers Mastermind. If you're joining us, you get the replay from last week. You get on the prompts that you get every single day. This is helping you to retrain your brain. But this week's live coaching, we're working on flow, how to stay in flow, and how to maintain the energy so that you can manifest quicker, sooner, faster. And the first place we're starting is with identity. So many of you are thinking that there's a weight, an issue with your weight, or um, your body consciousness, or things that you want to change. You've tried everything. You've been dieting. You've, even hired a trainer, right? See, this is the thing. This is why I need you guys to understand that it's a mind thing, because many of you have hired a trainer before and still aren't maintaining the results that you desire. And so my suggestion is to hire a trainer for your mind, because it's your mind that's going to make you even stay connected to the trainer, to the health coach, or the person, the workout trainer, right? It's in the mind, which is the part that we often miss. When we look at weight, we say, I'm gonna eat different, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna get a trainer, and then we fall off. But it's because there's a renewing of the mind that has to transpire before you ever get to the place where you can maintain all of the other things that you're wanting to do. And a lot of it is attached to your identity. When you take on a new identity, right, a new recognition of the higher version of who you are, that version of you is it's going to come with ease and flow. The things that you need to do, your words, your thoughts, and the things that you do are going to fall into alignment. So most people exercise, eat healthy from a place of force instead of a place of alignment. From a place of force instead of a place of alignment. And as long as your mindset, as long as that subconscious mind, because when you're saying, I'm going to go work out, I'm going to get a train, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to eat healthy, those words are coming from your conscious mind. I've been talking to you all about this for quite some time. But when you slow down, you stop, or don't stay aligned with what you want to do, it's because you really operate from your conscious mind. Those are the habits, the thoughts, and the beliefs. Now, hear me when I say beliefs, because we're talking about your identity. Remember, your identity is how you see yourself. Listen, there's a scripture that says, eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard the things that God wishes to do for you. That's because the current eyes that you have is unable to even see that new higher version of yourself. The current ears, the current consciousness of the information that's coming into your ears is unable to hear that next round you need for a new identity in order for it to happen with ease, grace, and flow. I hope I'm making sense for you guys, right? So you have to die to the idea of your old self. You got to die to the idea of your old self. You have to put off former conversations. Much of it is what's transpiring in your mind. Inside the She Prospers Mastermind, we work on those tools and those strategies that help you shift consciousness about who you really are, help you take on a higher version of yourself, which is a new identity. If you take the same mind into this new goal that you have, you get the same results. You can't create a new solution with a problem that was created with an old mindset. If you guys, for Bible thumpers, you can think about the scripture that talks about old wine and new wineskin. It won't work, right? So there has to be a renewing of the mind. But when we think about a healthy body, right? Let's just think about what a healthy body is, because I believe that wealth is a full circle event. I believe it's spiritual. I believe it's tangible, which is your money, your coin, the physical manifestation of money, and then your well being. I feel it's a full circle event. So your health is a part of your wholeness. Your health is a part of your wholeness. For those of you who are believers, we know that we access our wholeness from the godly realm. And most of us are attempting to do things from our body instead of our mind first. But it's your brain and your mind that tells your body what to do. And so you have to recondition your mind, one, about how you see yourself, who you see yourself as, your identity. You got to retrain. You have to retrain your brain so that you're operating from a new identity. Because most people aren't struggling with their weight or self care or things of that nature. They're struggling in their mind, and they always skip that process, right? To run to the gym, to run to a trainer, right? To run to the grocery store, to eat differently, which are all things that are in alignment for your process of what you're wanting to do as it relates to your body consciousness. But it starts in your mind first. It is a mindset that has to be formed, right? And it comes from taking on a new identity. It's one of the reasons in the mastermind I teach about self-image, identity, and then also it goes into your feminine energy. This is when things are happening with more ease, grace, and flow. So let's take this for an example. When we think about the conscious realm, the God conscious realm, do you not think he has specific, unique things for you that will make your process easier? Meaning, so maybe you see a workout video and you say, I'm gonna go running, or I'm gonna get on the treadmill, or I'm gonna get on the step master. But maybe the resistance that you're having is because that is not the ideal plan for you, right? So I don't go to the gym, but I do work out, right? But there are divine things, because I understand who I am, that work really well for me, that don't bring resistance to my process. It actually brings ease, grace, and flow. Many people they're setting these goals. I'm going to do an hour in the gym every day, 5 to 7 days a week. For some people, 20 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week on a specific thing would work for them, right? But because they need a new identity, they need to access the God realm to get those downloads of what's going to work for you, so that it happens with ease, grace, and flow. This is that manifesting princess stage. This is when you move out of being the self-aware sis, where you're trying to do everything, and it's overwhelming, it's consuming and confusing, and it leads to burnout, to a space of ease, grace, and flow, right? And so when we get into flow, we get into the God realm. This is where we manifest. So just remember that your outer expression, your outer body, or what you're presenting on the outside, is simply an expression of what's transpiring on the inside. The outer is an expression of the inner. The outer is an expression of the inner. I want you to remember that. So when you're attempting to do things that you feel you are continuously stuck in, it's not working, but you're looking for all of these external things, I want you to remember that the process actually starts in the mind. In the mind. When people desire a new physical look on the outside, they desire to eat healthier, lose or gain weight. A lot of it is attached to their identity, is how they're seeing themselves, what they've been saying to themselves, right? That is recreating the same results. All of it is the mind. Your mind has a lot to do with your money, this thing right here, and everything else that you set out to do. And I truly believe that, and this is from my personal experience and the many stories that I've been afforded the opportunity to hear from my clients, thousands of women over the years who have been in unhealthy or toxic relationships or unhealthy connections, is how their self-esteem is lowered during those experiences, right? And your self-esteem is part of your identity. It's part of how you see yourself. And as you begin to see yourself from that higher version, the desire for the things that you want to change, there's the resistance removes because it's in alignment with who you are. I hope this is making sense, right? Because our outer is an expression of our inner. It's really how we see ourselves, how we're living our life, how we're showing up, right? It's really on the inside. It comes from the inside. And once we access a new level of consciousness about who we are, once we begin to retrain our subconscious mind, those thoughts and habits, the things that we're thinking, and many people are so unaware of what they're really thinking. I see posts all the time as it relates to, body issues or things of that nature. And I look at the words that they're saying and I'm like, wow, well, this is one of the reasons that it's happening. Because if they're writing this, then what they're writing is what they're also thinking. And as a man thinks in his heart, man, woman, so is he. It's how you are identifying yourself. You have to take on a new identity first. You have to work on your mind. So, weight loss, weight gain, eating healthier, all those things as it relates to our body is in alignment with the relationship that we have with ourselves. Hey Derek, how are you, dear? It's in alignment with the relationship that we have with ourselves. I believe in trainers, right? I believe in eating healthy. I believe in you physically doing things. But many people struggle because it starts in their mind. Many people struggle because it starts in their mind. And so I invite you, if you've hired a trainer, it's not working, you've gone to the gym, you've set out to do things differently as it relates to your health, you've hired coaches for that. I invite you to hire a coach for your mind, a coach for your mind. Because once your mind changes, everything that you do after that will change. Your identity changes as your mind changes. And most people, I don't feel they have, you know, and I'm not making any medical claims. I just believe that we do have the ability to heal ourselves. And I believe that it starts in our mind. I believe it starts in our mind. And once you get that mindset piece down, when you go to your trainer, you will stay consistent because you've taken on a new identity. You see yourself differently. The old man is gone. You don't even see yourself the way that you saw yourself before, right? So I believe that, our body issues and things of that nature are tied to the relationship that we have with ourselves. Remember, I shared some of the things that studies show that unhealthy connections, the residue that it leaves with you could be intense cravings, intense cravings. See, once we fix those things in the mind, right, then we begin to normalize the divinity in our bodies, right? So they said intense cravings, anger, a lowered immune system, a lowered immune system. This is residue from unhealthy connections and relationships, guys. I mean, I get it, a change in your appetite. So many of you are fighting something from an external place when it really starts in your mind. For those of you who are ready to step into a new identity, you have some things that you're working on, you're ready to go to your next level. There is another realm. This is that God conscious realm that I talk about all the time, right? And once we're able to detox from some of the thinking that we've been naturally thinking, we can step into that space and access. God will begin to give you witty inventions that will be individual for your process, right? That will give you ease, grace, and flow in the area of, your health and, losing weight and things of that nature. We're spirit with the soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions inside a body, right? So our spirit and our soul is impacting what's going on with our body. We having a human experience. And until we understand that, most of what we want requires us to take on a new identity of our higher self. Most of it is related to our thinking, right? And so no matter how much we do all of these external things, the results all, it's like this cycle, right? Until we change our mind. For those of you who would love to be in a community where there's healing, um, where there's mindset shifts, where you're stepping into manifesting things at an easier, quicker, faster rate because you are in alignment, right? Because you've taken on a new identity. And you want to step into a space where you can quantum leap in your life. For those of you who are Bible, you may call it suddenlies, right? I invite you to join us. She Prospers Mastermind. We will be hosting our second week of live coaching on this Sunday. You can access immediately today, the first week, and catch up with us. There are daily prompts sent to your email outside of the live coaching because repetition is the mother of learning. And so I give you wealth building strategies, things to renew your mind, on a daily basis. And some of the what you're going to be doing is writing because Scripture says, "Write the vision, make it plain, so that if it tears, it won't tear it." Right. And so some of the process that we do will come from the prompts that I give you to write out in the process of being in flow and maintaining your energy so that you can shift your mind because your outer is really an expression of what's going on the inside. RenewFullCircle.com/she prospers. RenewFullCircle.com/she prospers. Just take on I challenge you just to think differently about your health goals for this year and think about starting with your mind, right? And then aligning that with the other things that you're doing. And once your mind changes, especially who you see yourself as, remember your identity is who you see yourself as. And as a man thinks in his heart, which is how you see yourself, then so is he. But that's what's going to show up on the outside. You guys have a super, super amazing day. Please do me a favor if you find value. Click heart if I said something that registered with you, and make sure to share this out. But your body, your relationship with yourself, your temple, your temple. And I break down what the temple is, what transpires in the temple inside the She Prospers Mastermind. You guys have an amazing, super Saturday. I love you all.